Welcome back, everybody, to the NRG 10K Modern Showdown, where we are trying to find out which players are going to make today's top 8 to get themselves one step closer to our end-of-year invitational. But something has changed on the screen. You know what I mean? I'm Will Hall still, but that's not Mason anymore. That's Corbin Hostler joining us for the rest of today's show. How are you doing, my friend?
I am doing well. I'm excited to be here. And I'll tell you, yesterday I started on a ship. I then took an Uber to a van, which then took me to a bus, which then took me to an airport. I got on an airplane. After the airplane, I took a train onto another airplane until I got to my car, finally arrived home, also that I could be here with you, Will Hall, and everyone else at the NRG Championship Series.
We're remoting in here, right? You could have just done this in the first location. You didn't have to go through all that just to get to this bit, but it's fine. I'll let you off.
Now that you say that, I guess I could have stayed on. I could have had the beach in the background. That would have been quite the casting experience.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's funny that you say you went from a boat to an Uber because obviously I'm in the military and I'm a Marine. Yeah. So I call the Navy my Ubers. But anyway, different story, bit of an inside joke there. It's fine. We've got some players to watch, the players that we're trying to follow, because obviously they're doing well at the minute and in contention to get enough points to get to the end of year leaderboard. Talk to me about some of these players that are standing out to you, Corbin.
Yeah, those are some big names. As you know, I know that we have watched many of these players over previous weekends, and we've got a couple left to watch today because, some of them have, had not the best performance today. 3 of them are 4-1. Alden Cates, Casey Ryback, and Garrick Relentless Alford himself, all 4-1. Remember, we're playing 8 rounds today, so very much alive for top 8. 1 loss in an 8-round tournament. You still got room to go. But as we head into round 6 here, that means there are some undefeated players trying to get to that point where you can, maybe double draw in, maybe at least be in a position where you are set up well with a couple of winning ends, or you can play for seeding at that point. Justin Berkman and Jake Lunn are ready to do that.
Well, we're trying for the points, right? Like, they're the players that are looking good. They want to get themselves onto the top of the leaderboard during points. If they can make a top 8 with that as well, that's going to make it a lot easier for them. But going on to this round's feature match, where we have got Justin versus Jake. Jeskai Blink versus Ruby Storm. We saw Jake a little bit in a round or 2 ago with this, being able to squeak out the win against the Soul Tie deck. But going up now against Jeskai Blink could be a whole different kettle of fish. This can apply a lot more pressure very quickly, but doesn't have as much interruption as those other decks. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works, especially where both players are starting off on Surveil lands. And Justin needs to get the, pedal to the metal. Might not know what he's against, might have took him out again at this point, but let's see how it pans out with where we've got the Surveil on the stack. Ephemerate, that's going to go to the graveyard. Another land off the top is what we're going to find. Sacred Foundry. Do we have a 2-drop?
Yeah, this is sort of in some ways a classic-ish modern matchup, a Jeskai controlling-ish deck against a Storm deck on the other side. But once you go a little deeper, it looks nothing like you might have seen a Storm in the past. This is, of course, mono red Ruby Storm, made possible with Ruby Medallion out of MH3. This was, or MH2, perhaps one of those sets. This had a big impact when it came out, right? This made a big splash at a Pro Tour where John Finkel was playing Storm, and then the deck basically fell flat on its face because John Finkel playing Storm is unlike anyone else playing Storm, and the deck overall did not have a great win rate. But it still has stuck around, and here Jake Lunn is taking it up to 5-0. So obviously a slow start for him with the Surveil lands, but that's fine. You're not really under a ton of pressure because it's just a fill you on the other side.
Well, all we're doing is sculpting the hand. Like, that's all we do here in Jake says. Sculpt a hand until we're ready to go off on that one turn. Especially in game 1, 0 sideboard cards. The chances of that happening are going to be dramatic. But over on the other side, Justin's doing his thing. Turn 2 failure into the Riddler, into Flicker the Riddler. That's 2 more cards entering the grip and passing the turn back. I think we might be missing land over on Jake's side. We do have a reducer in the face of a Rao, but Rao is the one thing that Justin can interact with a lot easier over that Ruby Medallion that you spoke about. So deciding, is he going to go for it? Is this just going to be another setup turn potentially? Maybe we're going to cast a Resolve or an Impulse and set up for next turn to try and hit those land drops.
Yeah, and if you're Justin, this is obviously a pretty nice start in terms of just able to sculpt your own hand, because pretty clearly, in fact, incredibly clearly, what you're up against here once you see that ritual hit the graveyard. So you know what you're looking for. You're looking for ways to interact. You're looking for counter magic, as you said, with a little bit of removal, can interact with Rao. But here we go, I guess. So you see the Theros land out there that's going to represent our red mana, as that ritual takes Jake up a few red mana.
I guess if we do it this way, as in double ritual to start off with, that puts us up to 4, which means the Rao on 2. We can then play a spell, and then if there was a solitude or something in response, we've got enough mana to play another spell to potentially try and start the chain to trigger this Rao. But it also comes down to how Justin, is he going to be disciplined here and try and work for the opportune moment, knowing now that there's 2 mana up, or has Jake done enough that it doesn't matter what he's got going forward, as Jake is now going to fire off that Manamorphose.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because this is sort of, because he has that extra mana. Remember, a lot of the rituals are in fact instant speed, and with the discount from Rao, even if the removal were to eventually resolve on it, if you can cast some spells in response to that removal, and which with the bank of mana Jake is able to do here, you're still getting that discount. Obviously, Manamorphose is among the better ones, as it has always been in Storm. I remember when that card came out, it basically made the modern Storm archetypes. And in fact, here it is. We see
March of Otherworldly
Light,
which of course is a 1 mana spell X, but that X can be either mana that we spend on it, or exiling a white card from our hand adds 2. And we're going to exile the Flage, and this really isn't the matchup for it, to try and get this off. But with that extra mana, we played round some interaction. Great. If we had a Solitude here, though, that would be another bit of interaction to stop this Rao, but we don't. So it looks like this second Manamorphose is going to trigger, or not trigger, be cast, sorry. Get the trigger from Rao. It looks like it doesn't flip, but we're going to add the mana, which puts us back up to 2. And now if we've got any more spells in our hand, we've got more chances of trying to flip if needs be.
Yeah, you really called exactly how this was going to play out at the beginning. By making that mana, we were able to, if you're Jake, at least work through this March of Otherworldly Light to an extent. And now at the end of this, we do see Rao go away, but he's got some mana left over if he wants to keep going. And now he's several cards deeper thanks to those Manamorphose. And we'll see if things keep continuing, because Storm counts up to 6, 4 red mana, grip of cards in hand. Jake can try again.
I think we've got a Glimpse of the Impossible, which is of course Sorcery Speed, and 2 Past in Flames in hand, which are good when we're going off, not so good when we're trying to set up.
That's right.
We do have a land drop though.
So with the land and the 4 mana, you're up to 5, and then you can glimpse and dig a little deeper, and then hope, I guess, at that point to find a reducer. We'll see. Because if you're Jake too, we talked about not being under a ton of pressure, but Philia, Quantum Riddler, it's something. But all right, here we go. Past in Flames.
But Past in Flames is costing all of our mana.
We've got our land,
but what are we playing for 1 mana?
Nothing. Okay, just wanted to get it in the graveyard. Okay.
All right.
So now you have access to I'm flashing it back, I suppose. But overall, if you're Justin, that went how you wanted it to. You do still have lots of cards. Obviously, you're alive, which is how you wanted it.
That's what I was saying. You got to untap. That was the main thing. Like normally when the storm goes up, you don't get to untap, but we had enough and we were able to get there.
And now you just got to try to finish it off, right? Jake's not out of gas, but entirely, but certainly much reduced after that. So good attempt on his part to go off. Justin was able to use that sort of the implied pressure of the Riddler and the Philia to get there. And now Teferi is a huge lock piece.
I was going to say, I think we have the option there of a Fable the Mirror Breaker as well, deciding what do we want to do, because we want to flick a target for this failure, because we don't want to do the Riddler. We need to apply pressure. We're currently going to have like a 2-turn clock. So doing this, if it's a fairy, you get a flick that's a fairy. Yes, we can't activate it a second time, but we do end up getting a card, which is great. And now Jake down to 9. He's got to kind of rebuild again. And I don't know if the hand's going to be nice to him to do this. We're going to start off with the Impulse.
Yeah, you just got to try to find some pieces here. There's a Medallion, a Jace, a Valakut Awakening. All right. Well, we can get the land drop out of this. How it's going to come into play tapped. And if you're Jake, you believe you have another turn lined up.
Yeah, only 8 damage on the board right now, but remember, we are playing Phages and there are lightning bolts in these decks, so
Mhm.
it could just be a tap and hope. I'm actually looking at the list. There is no lightning bolt in this list. The
No, but
traditional one did that won the RC, so we still got to play around it.
there are those Phages, so
And there's the Flave Show. That's going to be the last points of damage needed. And we're going to see Justin take down game number 1. Jake's going to have everything to do. So let's see if we can have a look at Jake's list. Get it on the screen for you all at home as well. And we can talk through that sideboard. This is what he's got. What do you like in this, Torben?
Yeah, well, you certainly hope to pick up game 1 if you're the Storm deck, and that's sort of a generically true of any combo deck, but maybe it's certainly one that is as focused as a Storm list. So Jake with his back up against the wall sort of already here. So Orum's Chant is sort of a place to, obviously you can go if you need to protect your combo turn. It may be something where you want to, the Empty the Warrens is in there as an alternative option. Honestly, I'm not sure that, if you want to go for some of the removal, you can. You don't want to basically get taken out by failure, which is what happened in that one. But all in all, you're still just a Storm deck and you still just want to storm off. So while you may end up picking up a handful of interaction pieces here, if you're Jake and, maybe you want to try to get them with the Magus of the Moon or something, either way, it's just, you're just going to try to storm off again and hope that you can work through some of that interaction. And he did a good job in that game of giving himself the outs to do so, right? He played around the removal he knew was coming. It just wasn't enough. So maybe with a couple pieces out of that sideboard, you can turn that key turn into a successful one.
I don't hate that Magus line, especially being on the play. You could turn to it, which could catch Justin off guard. So let's have
that's a good point. That's a good point. That with the Storm list, you do have that ability to just jump up on your mana, which is something a lot of people maybe don't see coming. If you're super familiar with Modern, super familiar with playing around Magus of the Moon, it's always something you have in mind. But that said, you do probably just get people a non-zero amount of the time playing Storm and playing
slight problem against the Solitude decks, but it's still a way potentially you could win. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look over on the other side of Justin's list. This is the Jeskai Blink deck, or at least his take on it. So what do you like here in this sideboard? How are we going to shore this up and how are we going to win this game and take ourselves to a nice 6-0 victory?
Well, and this is the reason as we look at Justin Brickman's sideboard here, this is why if you're the Storm deck, you feel like you need to pick up game 1, because now you're going to be looking at getting surgical. If you're trying to play out of your graveyard, you're obviously the Force of Negations coming back in. It's just going to be even more interaction in when a deck that's already full of interaction. And you talked about some of the cards that maybe in the main deck, like the Phages, you can cut down on a little bit. Maybe your sorcery speed removal, you could, cut down on a little. Obviously, you have to keep in mind that if they play a medallion, you need to be able to answer it. But Justin is just going to be able to turn 5 somewhat good cards into 5 very good cards in the matchup here. So an uphill battle, I think, for the Storm list here in game 2.
Let's have a little look at how they're getting on with their sideboarding. I think Jake's finished just getting those last few cards and making sure he knows exactly what we want to trim in and trim out here. Because as we mentioned, a lot on the line. 6 wins, I think that's the sweet spot right now. If we can get that 6th win, potentially we could double ID into today's top 8, or at least play the next one and see maybe round 8 that's going on what we want to ID. But it's definitely the one that you want to get is you need that 6th win moving forward, and both of these players are only 1 win away from it. Justin's only 1 game away from getting it and potentially seeing himself into today's top 8, where of course we've got their share of $10,000 as well as that invite to the end of year championships. 24 players, invite only, $35,000 on the line, and a pro tour invite. Can't ask for much more on that tour.
You cannot. That is why it is the flagship event of the year, the one that we always look forward to. It comes in December. It's like a little early Christmas present. It's not a bad way to spend a weekend when it gets cold outside, watching some NRG championship coverage. There you see our field. It is it's getting there, not all the way filled up, of course, because those leaderboard spots.
Yeah, this is stacked already, let alone now we've got to add more players to it in the mix. It's going to be a huge, for 24 players. And I love how, just because you've got a small field as well, like Okay, I know that person's going to be playing this deck. Oh, I know they're going to be playing. They're probably going to be playing the best deck. How am I going to meta game against this? Like Vinny's absolutely on a tear at the minute of the Jeskai Blink deck. The odds are in Modern he's going to be playing the Jeskai Blink deck. But what's he going to do on the other two formats? Because I believe it's a multi-formatted event. As players are drawing that opening 7, Justin likes it. Jake doesn't. It's going to go back. How do these decks mulligan? Is it quite good for the Storm deck, or is it rough every single card they go down?
Well, it's certainly better now that when I say I'm going to date myself here immediately.
Oh,
But
old. And me too, my friend. I know.
yes,
Say it.
it's better now that you get to go up to 7 cards in your opening
Mm.
hand.
Oh yeah, gone are the days. Yeah, I mowed to 3 and died. Yeah, no, of course you did. Of course you did.
Tron is obviously the best example of that, where now that you get it just got such a power boost out of just being able to get 7-card hands. But it obviously holds true for all decks here, because of course it's true for the Jeskai type decks as well. But yes, if you're Jake, going down to 6, it's mostly fine in the sense that you obviously, once you're super low on cards, you're super low on cards, but your cards do generate. If you're able to start going off, you can generate additional cards, so you can make it up pretty easily. But great start here by Justin.
Yeah, but like Ragavan's exactly what you want on the play or any time on turn 1, really. Because we know it's going to be connected, or very likely to be connecting. That's going to generate us some more route with the treasure tokens that it generates, which means we can almost get up to the point where we're double spelling and get that that pressure that we need on Jake. Did bottom the orange chance. They have come in, or at least some number of them have come in here in game number 2. We're going to go fetch up a basic, keep our life total nice and high. We need as much of that as we possibly can until we get to that pivotal turn where we decide to storm off. 2 red, and we're going to play the medallion.
Here we go. Putting it to the test.
Yeah, this is the one we can't interact with too well. We do have, of course, marches. We saw the marches in game 1. That, I believe, does also hit artifacts. It does. 3 of those in the main and 3 prismatic endings. So, I guess we've also got Teferis as well. So if we connect with Ragavan and make that treasure token, if we've got a second land drop, we could also Teferi bounce.
Also a very good point. Both players having the ability to ramp out 3 mana cards here that are pretty important. So I guess it really just comes down to what Justin has here. I think it's likely he has some kind of interaction, as he has a grip full of cards. He kept 7. He connected with Ragavan. He's got access to 3 mana, all of his colors. But if you're Jake, this is how the deck goes a lot of the time. You just play Ruby Medallion and hope.
Prismatic ending, if that's going to go to exile, I imagine it's an ending. I don't think it's going to be a march. Yep, ending, white bordered. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's all I need to say on that. And then just Jake's side, how have we got another mana reducer? One of the key pivotal points of these decks. We do not, at least if we're not going to deploy it,
it's going to go. At least not immediately. Maybe, again, if your turn 2 medallion doesn't work, maybe you try to wait and set up. If your Ral is your next one, right? Maybe you want to try to do what we saw in game 1, where you can bank some additional mana.
Surveyor, don't like it.
So much pressure from Ragavan here, and by pressure, I mostly mean mana, the additional treasures.
It's the extra advantage it gives, right? Like the 2 points are meh. The cards you're flipping off the top, you probably don't want to play most of them. Maybe a Manamorphose would be good. An Impulse later on in the game, the more it goes, sure. But also, remember, the cards that hit do get exiled. So if we're able to hit some of the key cards in the deck, maybe some of those Past in Flames, the Wishes, the Grape Shots, etc., that could also throw a wrench in the plan for Jake to be able to turn this into a W. Gonna Surveyor in the turn.
This Jeskai Blink deck is really powerful. I just want to take a second to talk about it here as he's starting to, unless we see Jake try to go off here, but it has such a collection of what I would just describe as the best cards in the format. And I think we're probably going to see some of them as Jake goes for the Row. But we'll get back to that, because here we go.
Manamorphose. In response, we are going to Solitude, pitching a failure. The trigger's still going to happen, so we're still going to roll a dice and see if you're going to take a point of damage or not, Jake. The way we believe it's going is odd evens. So odds it fails, evens it flips. So it did lose, does take a point of damage there, but it does go a card deeper. 2 red mana in the pool, and we just go in. Okay.
Okay. Well, all right.
Let
I
it
mean,
fizzle
that's kind
out.
of where it's at. You're Jake. You had 2 mana reducers. They've both been interacted with. You're just trying to hope to draw to some more, but and hope that you don't die. I mean, your life total is what, 12 now.
Yeah.
Justin looks like we're gonna. He has access to 6, 7, possibly 8 mana on this turn. Does Justin? So he's spending some of it.
Well, hard casting a Riddler, which is going to get us a card deeper, but it's also going to get us a 4/5 body on the battlefield. We hit a land off it. It is an Arena of Glory, which itself is scary for any future creatures
Right.
come down. And then with that mana, we're going to use it for the Ghost Vacuum, which of course we know is able to start tanking the graveyard, take those key cards out in case something like a Past and Flame was going to be used.
Yeah, Jake really up against it here. In fact, probably has to assume that you're facing down. What is that? 6 points of damage. If there's a hasty flage, things can just end. Well, I guess that, yeah, I mean, the flage would not be able to escape, but that represents you start getting up to 9. Your life total starts to get a little in trouble here. So Jake's going to go ahead and go for it. At least go deeper. We're going to find 2 lands.
I think if there's nothing hasty coming down the turn, I think we've got 1 turn
Yeah.
to draw. I believe it's a mana reducer that we need. If we can hit a mana reducer, I think we're still going to be in a Shire and Jake's side. But if Justin's going to do it, he's going to try and stop it here and now. That Arena of Glory, remember, will give a creature haste if it was to be used. But Surgical is going to be played. And we're doing it now, not in the upkeep or the
Just
draw
so
step.
many sideboard cards coming in here that we talked about for Justin, improving what was already a good matchup. The Ghost Vacuum and the Surgical, a little redundant. So he says, you know what? I'm just going to use this Surgical, hit one of your better cards, and just take them out of your deck. Let's reduce the number of hits you have on this draw step.
I believe there's going to be 3 of those number ones already in exile. So, yeah, that's the 4. Gonna let Jake shuffle
Nice
up my
shared
pile on my
exile
turn.
pile over there.
Pile, just absolute pile. And then we're doing this in our draw step so that we've got down to 1 card in hand. So this Riddler will draw us 2, which is nice. Didn't draw, looks like a creature, at least not the one that we want to deploy. So we're going to get in there for 6. It's now going to be a 2-turn clock. So Jake should have another turn. Those here can sign some memory in hand. So that could be used to stop any storm shenanigans that's going to happen. I think we've got land, and I can't make out the 3rd card. It might be a Fable the Mirror Breaker. Question mark.
Justin got to feel like he's in control of this one, just trying to figure out how to not let it slip away. That said, it does look like he only has a few cards in hand here. So if it is a line for Jake that doesn't involve the graveyard, so you can at least at the beginning to sort of nullify any Ghost Vacuum shenanigans. If the last 2 cards for Justin are not interaction, you might have a window here with this last turn at 5 life if you're Jake, and you're going to get.
I think it needs to be Ral. I think it has to be Ral. We've got a consign in hand, so it can't be a medallion. It needs to be Ral. We don't have the answer for Ral, and then we go off like that. That needs to be it. We've kept it on top.
Okay, well, you see, is his hand revealed down there? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, that's his hand. 1 unknown, which is the one he's drew, which was an impulse.
Okay.
Or the other, it's one of the impulse effects. I can't remember what it is. It finds an artist talent and a glimpse of the impossible.
So
that's not good enough.
Not what you were looking for, I think, because you got rituals, a wish. I think I don't really know what you're trying to do here. You go up to 3, 4. You have 5 mana. Maybe you're supposed to glimpse. Oh, it's not looking great here for Jake without a mana reducer.
So do we have to go ritual, 3 mana, artist talent, ritual, trigger, discard one of these, cut the wish in hand or something, and then hope that we draw a mana reducer and try and go off that way and hope that maybe the Ghost Vacuum doesn't get activated? I can't see a line, but then that doesn't mean there isn't a line.
Yeah, and there's, of course, I think there's still the one unknown, but
No, the one unknown was the impulse that we played, right?
You're right.
So I think everything's face up. I think we've got Wish, we've got a Past in Flames, we've got a Ritual, and then the two that we see here, which is Artist Talent and the Glimpse, the Impulse. Impossible. Going for the math. So 3 mana in the pool, down to 1 mana in the pool. Play the Artist Talents, fetch, go down to 4. Got to play around like potentially there's lightning bolts in the deck. We know there isn't. Jake does not. Get the basic. This is a deck that benefits from basics, remember. The white splash is only for some of the sideboard cards. Prismatic Ending and Orange Chant. See, a chant might have been good enough to stop, prevent another turn for us to gain life, but that option's out now. So
yeah, I think Jake is running out of. I mean, he does go for the talent here. Now we're going to play the rituals.
So the rituals. This is the last ritual in hand, right? 2 cards left in hand now. It's either going to be Wish. We're going to consign the trigger to discard a card when they're completely tapped out. Heads up play there by Justin. Takes that down. Advances to a 6-0 record. So congrats to him. Very likely we're going to be seeing him into today's top 8. Jake, well, he's going to have a couple more rounds to try and get himself there. But this is the NRG series. We don't just have one match here. We've got a backup match. So let's move down there. Let's see who we have in our backup feature match. Again, 5-0 records. So playing for winning ins. We've got Jeskai Blink versus Amulet Titan. August versus I'm gonna say Hickman. I'm just gonna go with Hickman. Two of the most popular decks, probably the most popular decks in the room. And looking at all the top standings on the tables, these are literally the best performing decks of the day. But this one, we're gonna see Hickman on the play with Urza's Saga.
Yeah, we're gonna watch Jeskai Blink again here. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, well,
these main deck marches. Every time I've seen them, have looked really, really good. I think this is just a one-off over in August. Yeah,
that's a pretty sick play right there. I have to say,
it is nice. It's nice when you can get them. How are we gonna just land go? We know that these aren't the explosive turns for the Amulet side. They need an Amulet in play. Next turn we can do that with Urza's Saga. I don't think. Are we going? Oh, this is. Oh, okay. We could play a Teferi if we've got Teferi in the main, which we do not. So ignore everything I'm saying.
Well, these Jeskai Blinks decks, so they basically just have gotten to a point where they're a collection of sort of the 20 best cards in the colors, and they just work so well together. Philia is such a powerful engine piece that people have gotten to the point where we figure out if we just pair that with the Solitude engine that was already a defining part of the metagame, you really have something with just a ton of ways to cheat mana in a lot of ways. So these Blink decks have got game against anything in the field, and that is why even on turn 1 you get got, and on turn 3 you get got by Stone
one-offs.
Yeah.
These are the 2 1-offs. Wrath of the Skies on 0 is going to take out another Urza's Saga, which stops the fact that the Amulet is going to get found. This is huge. Big heads-up play here by August, showing why she's been piloting this deck extremely well today and is undefeated at the moment. I do want to say about the failure. Look, if you design a modern-only set, you can also make your family pet a really good card that will see a lot of play as well. You know what I mean? Shout out to Michael.
All right. Well, if you're Wesley here, you're not loving where things are at, but as it stands, your life total is still 20, and well, that will be changing soon as Dash Ragavan comes in. But you have the ability to try to rebuild here as best you can.
That's the case. Ragavan's, yes, we're using it to generate more mana, so potentially on the next turn or two we can what's the word I'm looking for? We can ramp into being able to double spell and hold up spells if it needs be. And of course, we're slowing down Wesley. But of course, every card we hit is one less card potentially that Wesley's got going forward. So what I mean by that is if we hit a key land, like one of the key combos, if we hit both Lotus Fields, that's going to turn off a different line. If we hurt the Woodland, that's again a different line.
Well, that's the one Vesuva, to your point.
So there's only one Vesuva in the list. That's now gone, not an option. Green Sun Zenith. We've got a couple of those. That's fine.
Yeah, I
You
was
could
going to say
cast it.
I won't get so deep as to pretend to know all the situations in which Vesuva is hugely relevant for an Amulet Titan player. I have not read the book that was going around the Pro Tour myself. But I do know that not having access to the Vesuva at all certainly is changing some amount of the flow chart happening in Wesley's brain right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of the big key ones, but like it is a option moving forward that is now off the table for Wesley. And this is what I mean. I can play Titan and I can do the easy lines. Like I know when I've got the amulets and I can turn things. Yeah, I know that bit. It's the newer loops that go around that minute with Lotus Fields and Scape Shifts. These are the bits that personally I'd be like, oh, it kind of pits me off playing the deck. I wish I had enough time to spend on it, but I also really want Green Summoners pack ban. So I'm kind of like I'll just try and play a deck that beats it, but I'm always on the end of I don't think there is a deck that does well against it. Compton Amulet Pilots are literally running the roost at the minute. The deck's so good, so consistent, and so hard to play into.
The Ice Till Explorer lines, like I walked by a match at the Pro Tour and I didn't fully understand what I was watching. And then they explained to me after, oh yeah, well, I was using Ice Till Explorer to loop this, which looped this, which meant every other turn I could use Otawara on them. And I was like, okay. And that's why they won.
Well, we've got a lot of consigns in hand here for August. We've got the Ragavan, which we know about. It's been connecting every turn. I think we've also got a Riddler. So we're going to do Riddler. We're going to hard cast a Riddler to draw a card. We did have the option to pay it for 2 and consign it if needs be, but we might end up consigning this Urza's Saga trigger next turn when it goes on the stack. We're going to pass the turn. End the turn, we're going to make ourselves a construct. Why not? It's free.
All right. Well, Wesley is going to untap. We're going to at least try to put a third counter on an Urza Saga for the first time today, in this round anyway.
I don't think we mind about the third counter, right? I don't know which bit exactly it is we're meant to consign. I think it's the bit where they go search. So there's a trigger that goes on for the third counter, and there's a trigger that goes on for the search. Because if we stop the third one, that means next turn it will go to 3 and it will happen again, I believe.
Yes, I believe.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong on that, chat.
I think that's correct. How that would work, and looks like here we go. Wesley going to lose another Saga, third one of the game.
I'm about to say, doing everything he possibly can to try and get this amulet. August doing a great job fighting against it, and now we've got something that can apply pressure as well, which is going to be great.
Yeah, and Wesley has not found the line this game of drawing the amulet, or I suppose this is probably, I guess he could go for a spelunking if he were to have that. He's thinking about it though, because he's got the Saga, he's got the construct.
Well,
he's got not really a lot going on, but he does have a grip in hand, so he's got a lot to think about.
Trouble. The thing that you're doing right now is you're falling into that trap. Oh, they're not doing much. They've got nothing to do. And then out of nowhere, I'm dead. And I'm like, I'm not entirely sure why. So I think we're looking at Escape Shift has been brought to the front. So Escape Shift is going to be cast.
Okay, here we go. Escape Shift to pitch 2 lands, in classic Escape Shift fashion.
It's not as scary when there's no way to untap them on the board. So this looks like it's maybe a value. So again, Shifting Woodlands has been brought to the front. What's the other card we want to go along with it? I don't imagine it's
at this point too. This deck does so many things that are not just Amulet Titan that it's just wild.
All right, it's been. Look, I've had a couple months off, chat. All right, like some life stuff has been happening. So what is that alternate art? That I don't know what that is. Is that an Urza's Cave? Is that Otawara? Is that a Mirror Pool? Is that an Echoing Deeps alternate art?
Deeps.
Is it? Okay, cool.
I believe.
Look, chat will know. Chat knows everything. Deck list will be coming available once we get to today's top 8. That's when this is a closed deck list tournament up to then. We hit off the Ragavan, though. Being able to find ourselves a Rumble is pretty nice. And we're casting it as well. Look at the top 4. Put one of these into our hand, basically. And we've got a bunch of options. We're going to go for the Solitude. Yep, nice in case a Titan was to come down. What's the lifestyle? 11. Valet's going to go back. We've got Solitude plus one, so that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we actually have lethal on the board, and Wesley knows about that. We can give. I believe there's an Arena of Glory. Is there, or is that? Am I missing something? No, there isn't. Oh yeah, there isn't an Arena of Glory. Oh, it's last game. I'm getting confused.
Yeah, no arena in this one.
But with an Arena of Glory, it'd still be lethal.
Right. So Wesley going to go for a. We see what we want to search up here with the Green Sun Zenith.
Mm-hmm.
Ice
I need to pick this up still. This is a card I don't own in my modern collection. I feel like I need to own a few. Pretty cool card. So it's a 2/4 body. When you play, you may play an additional land each turn. You may play lands from your graveyards, and it has landfall whenever a land you control enters mill a card. So it kind of does that extra thing that the Titan decks are trying to do, and it's putting the lands in their graveyard so they can start doing the Aftermath Analyst lines.
Yeah, and I don't know what the combo is offhand, but I still Explorer is itself a combo card in other formats. So it just does a lot once you start getting to the ability to loop lands, and that is why August is able to say we're going to answer that thing right away.
We're going to turn everything sideways first. This is going to be 11 damage. Drop it down to 2. That's an amulet off the top of the deck. Does have Ephemerate if she wants to use it. Chooses not to. Don't think she really needs to right now. I'm trying to see if there's anything that she could get across the line with it. Especially if that 4, I thought they would be at 2 actually. So okay, 4 is a completely different story. That doesn't give us the lightning bolt out.
Yeah, 4 is a pretty convenient number here for Wesley to be at. Going to get another shot at this.
So let's have a look. So we're going to go tick up our sagas, float the mana. What was the land behind that just got sacked?
I think that was the Echoing Deeps, which must have been a copy.
Oh, you reckon it was a copy of Urza Saga? So the counters on them are they both getting sacrificed this turn?
I think that's what's happening here. Yep, that's confirmed from our excellent production crew. That is what's happening here. So Amulet 1, Amulet 2.
So let's think about this. Over on August side, she's done so much to prevent this at this point. Now we're at the point where there are amulets on the board. We've got a grip full of cards. I can see a Titan in there. I can see Lotus is in there. I can see a couple of other green cards. She's got an Ephemerate. Ephemerate is good to take out the first Titan. Is that going to be enough? Or is there a way that Wesley's able to get multiple Titans at this turn?
It feels like it's going to be not enough, but we'll see here because the first one is coming or not. That's an Aftermath Analyst that's getting picked up instead by the Summoner's Pact here. So that is the kind of thing that doesn't necessarily get got by a Solitude. So now it's a Lotus Field that's going to get some untapped triggers thanks to the amulet, and then we're going to get some more mana tapping, and eventually there will be some lands that hit the graveyard.
So yeah, that's going to be 6, 7, 8 mana, I believe we're going up to. 7 of it green, 1 of it's going to be blue. But that's fine. We don't mind about the putting lands into our graveyard at this point, especially when I've got the Analyst in hand. That's kind of the game plan. Let's see what we're going to...
Well, now we can sacrifice the Lotus Field to itself, and those go into the graveyard. Now you have plenty of mana to go with your Aftermath Analyst line, which is going to bring them back and bring back plenty of things, as a matter of fact. And then you're going to have even more mana, and there is a Primeval Titan still in hand for Wesley. So we are very deep in the Amulet Titan bag right now.
Yeah, not really given a good chance either for this Solitude to get flickered. You know what I mean? Analyst itself has got the sacrifice part on it, so you can't do it in response to it triggering that. You could try and go for it with a mill free, but they're just as long as they've got enough mana, which you imagine they're going to have at this point with the double amulet on the board. That we're just going through the motions at the minute. I think there is an end goal where Wesley wins here. He's just going to have to navigate to find that, and being able to get to this point today at 5-0. You've got to imagine that he is fully aware of how to do that.
And Primeval Titan really being not obviously an afterthought in this one, but not even certainly not the Aftermath Analyst level here, which was just incredibly powerful Wesley to have access to. But Titan coming down. Triggers on the stack. Here we go.
How many times have we shuffled our deck so far this turn? I think we're at like 4 or 5 now.
August saving some crucial dexterity by just giving it a tap and a cut. No need to shuffle. Think about this game. Wesley now with both of these amulets in play. Like August went through what, like 4 removal spells between the sagas and the other cards in play. Just Amulet Titan just keeps coming if you cannot back up your interaction with a clock. And while Jeskai does have a clock, clearly the difference between a game with a turn 1 Ragavan and a game without it is just wildly different. And that is why Wesley is able to pick that one up. But you know what, Will? I think we're going to now skip ahead.
Yeah, so with these, obviously we recorded that game 1, but it looks like game 2 went the other way. August was able to head down, so we're now going to join them live in game 3. So let's get down to it, see what board state they're in, see who is going to be advancing to a 6-0 record today, giving themselves that the chance to double ID into the top 8. Well, there's a Titan on the board.
And a Charmaw. And life totals are 10-4. We are deep into this one, but unfortunately for August, we might be deep into Wesley's combo turn as it looks like there's more Titans getting searched up.
This is not going well.
All 5 mana.
Four life, though. Looking at, Wesley's at 4.
Yeah, and all the mana open for this Solitude here for August.
Have we got a way to flicker it, though? Like, if this is double Titan coming down, we need just man, this is so complicated, these matchups.
This is quite the spot we've walked into these players on in here. I gotta say, August hitting the Obsidian Charmaw, which there are 4 of in the sideboard, by the way. Very nice in this matchup. May or may not be enough, but that sideboard card is a pretty nice one to have access to, especially when you're blinking things.
Oh yeah. It's a great blink target, and it's not one like a lot of cards these days that destroy target on basic. They go search of a basic or something like that. This straight up just destroys them. You get to stone rain those non-basics, and you get a 4/4 dragon attached to it, which is pretty sick. Which again you can play as early as turn 2, depending if you're on the drawing up against whatever type decks that you're going to be up against. Looking at Wesley's hand here, I think that Titan's in hand. I'm not entirely sure, but
I believe so as well. Yeah,
just playing it up because it's known information to August and us at home watching now. Has access to the 6 mana, but then the battlements would be tapped, but then we could bounce it back and play it again if we wanted to, because we haven't hit a land drop this turn yet. We're going to consign the trigger to go find lands.
That might be the best use of that consign because of the amount of mana it's going to take away from Wesley here.
Well, that might just be game winning. If Wesley can't carry on doing anything this turn, can only attack for 8 points of damage, which will bring August down to 2. August has got a 4/4 flyer twice. Well, a 4/6 flyer and a 4/4 flyer. That might just be enough to get across the line.
Yeah, that was a big consign. I know if anyone's familiar with that meme that was going around when the AWS server went out last week, the one little thing holding everything up, that's consigned to memory in Modern. And you're seeing why right here.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk around that card, and its utility in Modern. Are we a format now that is being warped by this card, or is just the deck so powerful we are made to play for this card? Because it's not just good, but yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, the Modern is very much a format of engines right now, and one of the most powerful is Philia, Solitude, Ephemerate type engines across a variety of decks. Another is obviously Urza Saga and Amulet Titan type stuff. And Consigned to Memory is this card that sort of exists as an answer, as a catch-all to almost any deck you run against, even not the combo decks.
This changes though, right? Like if we target one of these creatures, otherwise he's going to gain enough life that might get him out from underneath the attack next turn. I think if our last card is consign, I kind of like the idea of I probably would have done this. I probably would just consign the trigger to go search, taking the 8 damage if life totals are correct.
Yeah. Well, let's see
Out.
here. That would put him up to 10, I believe. There's a consign.
Oh, so we're going to do
Okay,
it
it's
this
both.
way.
It's both.
Oh, this leaves lethal on the board as well. So goes up to 10, but we've got 11 on the board and we've stopped the search trigger. Great use of consign again from August. She showed it last round how good she was using that card. She's showing it again here now, and that could be enough to take this down and lock her into today's top 8.
Yeah, just a huge turn there from August. And of course, we saw in game 1 being one answer short. In this case, not one answer short.
August taking that down in fashion. Congratulations to her. I think that's going to lock her up, but we'll find out as we get into the further rounds, because this is only round 6 of 8 today, and then we've got the top 8 on top of that, and we'll find out who's going to be walking away calling himself the champion, and then we'll see them later on this year in our invitational. But that's good. That was a good round. That was one of my favorite rounds that we've seen today. Even though the decks, we've all seen them before, but the way that they're played out and those really complicated game states, it was very swingy on both sides. It was really interesting to see. But as I mentioned, it is the end of round number 6. So we're going to step away, have a short break, and then when we come back, we'll have round 7 and one step closer to that top 8. So don't go anywhere, and we'll see you shortly.